Hello, my name is Jai, and welcome to my story of what makes a planet habitable. To be habitable, a planet needs 5 key elements: temperature, water, an atmosphere, energy, and nutrients. Temperature influences how quickly atoms and molecules move. Life is limited to a temperature range somewhere between negative 20 degrees Celsius to 115 degrees Celsius. Lower temperatures freeze water and cause chemical reactions to react slowly, interfering with the necessary reactions for life. Around 125 degrees Celsius, complex molecules, like RNA and DNA, start to break up, so a planet should have a temperature range between negative 20 degrees Celsius and 115 degrees Celsius. But what causes temperature on a planet? The temperature of a planet is determined by its closeness to its star and how hot the star is. A region where temperature can allow for liquid water to exist is known as a habitable zone. Smaller, cooler stars would have a habitable zone closer to itself, whereas larger, hotter stars would have a zone further away. Thus, the distance of the habitable zone for life on a planet changes with each star system. Temperature is also determined by the planet's atmosphere, which will be explained later, reflectivity, if a planet has clouds or ice, and atmospheric or oceanic circulations within the planet. Axial tilt and orbit of the planet also. Liquid water is the next parameter needed for habitability. It is essential for life as it dissolves and transports chemicals within the cells of an organism. For a planet to be habitable, it must be within the habitable zone of a star. Too cold and water will freeze and the required chemicals for cells will not be transported. If it's too hot, the water will evaporate and the chemicals won't be transported either. For example, some organisms on Earth use glucose from photosynthesis. A lack of liquid water results in the glucose not being. Atmosphere is the next parameter. Molecules that make up an atmosphere, such as carbon dioxide, water, methane, or ozone, absorb heat which traps it in the atmosphere and essentially warms the planet. This in turn allows liquid water to exist. Certain components of the atmosphere also shield the planet from harmful radiation. For example, for a planet to form an atmosphere, it must have sufficient mass for gravity to hold the gaseous molecules that create the atmosphere. It must also have a molten core in the center of the planet, which creates a magnetic field that blocks harmful radiation from its star and cosmic rays that would strip the planet of the atmosphere, much like what happened on Mars. Energy is the next parameter that life needs to survive on a planet. This can be brought on by the system's star emitting light which drives photosynthesis, or from chemicals in the environment, where cells use chemical energy as a source. With a steady input of either light or chemical energy, cells can run the chemical reactions necessary for life. For a perfect source of energy, the habitable zone comes into play once again. Light energy can be an issue for life as too much light can cause the planet to heat up or bombard it with harmful rays such as UV. Too little sunlight or too few chemicals will reduce the chemical reactions needed to sustain life. Nutrients is the final parameter for life. Nutrients are used by organisms to grow and maintain themselves. Without chemicals, complex molecules like carbohydrates and proteins, of which most life is consisted of, couldn't exist, and so organisms would not be able to grow. The circulation of these nutrients is also very important. Planets without systems to deliver nutrients to organisms cannot support life. Earth is suitable as it has a water cycle and volcanic. So if I was tasked with searching for extraterrestrial life in the cosmos, I would search for planets that are in the habitable zone of its star, has a temperature that allows liquid water to exist, has liquid water, has an atmosphere that contains chemicals that harbour life, has adequate energy from the star or from chemicals on the planet, and contains nutrients that life can use to maintain itself and grow.